Hi Ishmael, hi Reading Rainbow. This is Alex. I'm really excited to be calling right now because my family has some history with Reading Rainbow. This is my cousin Sheri. It's on an episode in 1993 called Mrs. Katz and Tush. In that episode, she teaches LeVar how to make challah and matzo balls and latkes. TV was different back then. There's just a 10-minute sequence of them doing that, which I think is so cool. Around that same time, this is what I was up to. I'm the one on the left. I was a very voracious reader from an early age, up to the point where it sometimes got me in trouble. I sort of would just pick up whatever books I would find around the house. In third grade, I found The Hot Zone, which is a history of Ebola. And when my teacher found out, she wanted to send me to the psychiatrist. But one of the most important books of my childhood was not The Hot Zone. It was a book called The Littles to the Rescue by John Peterson, which is part of the Little series about a family of tiny people who live in the walls of a normal-sized family's house called the Biggs. The reason this book was so important to me was it was my first chapter book. I picked it up on a trip to Texas that my family took, I think for my mother's college reunion, where I was probably bored out of my mind, so we went to this bookstore. But in my memory, it's not like any bookstore I know. There's just piles and piles of books. And I found The Littles, and I had never read a chapter book before, so I was really daunted by it. To the point where this was like a coming of age ritual for me. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the chapter structure that screamed maturity in my mind, and a maturity that I didn't know that I had until my mother encouraged me to read it. And so I spent the better part of that trip reading The Littles to the Rescue. The other big thing that we did on that trip was go to visit NASA. I wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up, so this should have been a very salient thing for me. And from the photographs, I know that we saw the stages of rockets and a giant swimming pool where people were training to go on the International Space Station with a submerged module. But I don't remember any of that from this trip. What I remember is The Littles and going to the bookstore and buying it and reading it and feeling such a thrill at being old enough, wise enough to read a book with actual chapters. So that's my book, The Littles to the Rescue, more exciting than manned spaceflight. And I also just want to extend an invitation to LeVar. This is not a joke. You are welcome anytime to come over and we'll make some challah or some matzo balls or some latkes together. I can even invite Sheri and we can keep the tradition going from generation to generation. Thanks, guys. Bye.